Welcome to Real Conversations with Patricia Baranovsky-Schneider, the podcast that takes you on a journey around the world to meet some of the most inspiring and accomplished individuals. Discover their stories, uncover invaluable business lessons from their paths to success, and gain exclusive insights on how to apply their strategies to elevate your life and business.
Hello and welcome to Real Conversations with Patricia. I'm your host, Patty Baranowski-Schneider. Today I'm joined by Stephanie Moss, the master artist behind, not sure if I'm saying it right, Xenon Academy and Stephanie Moss Salon. So welcome, Stephanie. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And did I pronounce that right?
You did pronounce it right, actually. Thank you. No, well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and be able to chat with you for a little bit today. So, what you said. So I am the owner of Stephanie Moss Salon here in Omaha, Nebraska, and we have two beauty schools, Xenon, a Stephanie Moss Academy. Our main campus is in Omaha as well. And then we have a second campus that's actually in Grand Island. So super fun.
Nice.
I've been in the beauty industry for over 20 some years now. It's amazing. I've enjoyed every moment of it. I've been able to do a lot of different things so far with my career in it, which I think is fun, and we can chat a little bit more about it. But I think sometimes people think that you're in the beauty industry, you're just standing behind the chair, you're just doing hair. But there's so many avenues that you can do, and I feel really fortunate to be able to, have done the things that I've done so far with it all. And having the two schools and academy, it's been awesome. It's been a great ride.
That's awesome. And people don't realize, when people think of a trade, nobody thinks of stuff like that. And beauty, like you say, that goes way beyond, everything from, like, I knew somebody who was doing beauty products for someone, people with like skin conditions. You don't think about stuff like this. So that's great that you found that niche. So now, how'd your experience at the Toni and Guy Academy shape your journey in the beauty industry? And what inspired you to establish Xenon Academy?
So a couple of things with that. Like Toni and Guy was one of the amazing extra kind of advanced education curriculum classes and trainings that I was able to be a part of, right? So did a couple of week training with that as well too, which was really fun. I actually started my journey going to beauty school here in Nebraska. And then I think it's important, and I know we'll talk more about education clearly with all the things that we're going to go over, but I think we have to stay on top of it. So then signing yourself up and doing a lot of these advanced classes is huge. I've always been a firm believer that education is power. It's key. It's what's going to keep us on top of it. And, with being in the beauty industry, things change all the time, right? I mean, you see it all on social media and everything like that constantly. So being able to do some advanced classes to kind of keep yourself interested and intrigued and on top of what's coming out, I think is huge. Xenon Academy. So my husband and I were actually asked a couple of years ago if we would be interested in taking over the academy. Xenon actually was first started in like 1987. So we've been around for a little while, right? They're strong and mighty, and it was founded by the Peels family and also in partnership with an artist called Peter Finelli, who went by Xenon, was kind of his big stage name, right? So, and so I've known the Peels family for a long time, great group of people, and and I think with Xenon and the stories, unfortunately, I was never able to meet him, but the passion for education and everything that they had, I think everything we aligned in that very, very much, and I've always stayed close to that family. And when they were kind of in the position of wanting to transition out and do a few different things, they reached out, and I said, what an honor, how awesome being able to have beauty schools and kind of be in the education world more than I had been prior was always an end goal for myself, so I just feel really fortunate that it came when it did, and we were able to take the opportunity. This fall will actually be 3 years for us that we've been in the academies now, and it's just been so fun. Wow. It's just so great.
The timing was right for you, apparently, and I agree 100% about keeping up with the times, because everything, even with beauty, with fashion, that kind of goes, hand in hand. Things change constantly. And if I've seen companies that just kind of set it and forget it. It's not going to work. Yeah. Life changes constantly. Everything's evolving, and you have to keep up with the times if you want to stay, in the forefront of everybody. So I think that's awesome. And
Agreed.
now you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but why do you believe education is a cornerstone in success in the beauty industry? And how does Xenon Academy embody the philosophy?
I think education is just a cornerstone for almost every industry, right? Like we've got to stay on top of it. And the more you know, the more powerful you are going to be in that position, that spot, or wherever you're going to be, And there's a lot more that goes into the beauty world, probably barbering, cosmetology and aesthetics or skincare. I mean, and look at skincare right now. I mean, it's everywhere, and that's a nice thing with like social media and stuff like that. But also I think that pushes us to make sure that we're even on top of our education more, because our guests this day and age, they're coming to us with, hey, I want this, I want to do all these things. So, us and even the education world, we have to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
We have to tweak that even more. So, with being a beauty school, of course, we're regulated by the state and we have our Department of Education. We have all those wonderful things and, that give us the curriculum and things that we have to teach. But kind of going back to what we just said a little bit ago at the academy here, when my husband and I stepped in, that was a big thing that we really looked at. Like, this is great. We have a really great foundation of this education and everything like that. But how do we get our students set up for success even more? How do we prepare them to have, I always call it your tool belt, right? Like, it's like rock, paper, scissors. What's going to work at that time? Not one is better than the other, right? But we've got to have everything. We've got to fully load these tool belts, because also too, I feel like we're in such a world of instant gratification, right? Everything's at our fingertips so much. And people want it, and people want to feel good about themselves. And so we have to be able to have a really strong, yes, your foundational education's huge, but then how to layer that a little bit more too, right? And keep advancing that and keep moving with that too. So some of the fun things that we've done just at the schools right from the get-go when we came in here was adding some extra certifications, right? So like lashing is a big thing, right? You see lash extensions everywhere, airbrush makeup for like our bridals and stuff like that. Hair extensions is, of course, a huge thing in our industry, right? It's kind of the new hair color, as we call it a little bit. Let's just sew it on in real quick, right? And that's that kind of that instant gratification. We want it now, and you have to be able to deliver those things. So, but on top of that too, a lot of business programs we've really brought into the schools. I think a big thing too, we kind of see when we meet with these young students and parents and stuff like that. And I know this just from, when I was going to beauty school, a couple of decades ago, we won't talk about that. Right. But
You're
your parents
25 like
sometimes
me,
right?
right?
Your parents sometimes are like, I don't know, do you need to go to college first and some business programs and stuff like that? And so that was kind of a big thing when we got into the schools, was to really elevate not only the practical side of what we're doing behind the chair, but also the business that we're running behind the chair too. And really trying to set these young students up for success in that area too. So I think there's a lot of different ways with kind of that education. As like I said, there's always a great foundation, but how do we keep raising that bar, And that is, I mean, it's something that changes daily to stay on top of it. But there's a lot of great resources out there. We have a lot of fantastic companies that we're able to partner with. So it makes it pretty easy, Yeah.
But that's awesome, because like in most places, like whether you're going for a lawyer, an accountant, whatnot, they teach you how to pass the exam, but then, okay, bye. Well, now
Exactly.
what? So you see so many people that have these, certifications, and they're working in office because they have no idea what to do with it. Not all of them, but I mean, I think that's great that you're not only teaching them how to do it, but now how to do it on your own. How do you have your certification? Now let's take it from there. What do you do? So that sets you apart from major places just right there.
For
So
sure.
now, what advice do you have for beauty for professionals who want to evolve from the following, from following trends to setting them?
I love that question. I love it. And this like reminds me so much of my little young, 19, 20-year-old self getting out of beauty school and all the hopes and dreams of who you want to aspire to be. And I think it can, I think it's where a lot of young students want to go. Like a big thing is like, I want to go work for a large product company. I want to go do those kinds of things. And I want to be on stage and all of those fun things. And I think that kind of comes part with wanting to set some of those trends a little bit, right? And so, I mean, honestly, it can be done. Go do it. Go have fun
Yeah.
with it. That's, but I think the biggest thing is, honestly, it's probably easier now than it was when I was getting out of school or a young artist, you know what I mean? Kind of starting my journey, um, because of social media that's out
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's so fantastic to be able to put some content out there. So I think the biggest thing is you've got to have confidence to go do it. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there. I think you're going to have to 1000% stay up on your education.
Mhm.
The more classes that you can take and invest in yourself, the bigger your tool belt's going to grow,
Right.
right? That you're going to be able to push that content out there and feel comfortable about doing it, be able to speak to it in the right way. So I also think, though, and this is something that I did, but being able to work for a large product company,
Mhm.
right? So it was actually really fun. But the line that I worked for when I worked for L'Oreal Professional for a long time was we'd get together. The team of us would get together. They'd fly us all in a couple times a year, and we would work on what were those trends going to be? What were the fall looks? What were your
Mhm.
spring, summer looks that we were going to do? And I think the thing to remember is the beauty industry follows the runway, right?
Yeah.
So to stay on top of that constantly and watch, I mean, New York Fashion Week is just going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Omaha has a great fashion week here. There's actually one of the better ones. It's fantastic that we have all those things here to do. So involving yourself in all of those things and
Mhm.
staying on top of it, fabrics and textures and all of that stuff that's coming
Right.
out. Hair follows suit with all of that kind of stuff too. So it's really fun. I enjoy
No,
it a lot, but it's something that can totally be done. I think you
yeah.
just got to be brave. You got to go do it.
Right. But that's, it's so true with social media too, because, back in our day, there was nothing visible. You read it, and that's all fine, but you don't get the full, like if you're telling me about a hair product or makeup or fashion thing and I'm reading it, it doesn't have the impact as if I see it. So posting stuff on social media, that's how you're setting trends. Exactly. It's like, my daughter was funny. She just had her own style of how she dressed. And people were always like, oh my God, like she just, I don't know, she kind of just had her own little style and she just walked around and that was it. And people were just following her and they were like, oh my God, where did you learn this? And it was just her own style. But when people see it, it makes such a huge impact. And, I agree. You have to just do it. Because, we always say, don't talk about it, be about it. Saying
Yeah.
it is great. Doing it is a whole other thing. And you're not going to know if people like it until you actually do it. So I
Yeah.
agree. Just have your
And I
dream
love
and
that.
go
Like
for it.
she was, being authentic, just putting
Yeah.
herself out there and didn't care and look at it. It worked
Yeah.
out so well. I
It
think
was
that's a huge
unique, I'll
thing.
give her that, but it really was, after a while you were kind of like, it almost got to a point everybody was excited to see what she'd wear the next day because it was like it just, and the funny part was she went to fashion design school because people were like loving her outfits.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Good for her. That's so great.
Now tell us, as a L'Oreal professional artist, what drew you to the technique? I'm not going to say it right. Balayage artist?
Balayage. I know, right? We put a
Yeah.
couple hard words in here.
But
Balayage.
now, what drew
It gets called the balayar, bali. It gets a lot of funny names too. So,
but what drew you to that,
um,
and how has it influenced your approach to hairstyling techniques?
oh gosh, balayage is such a huge thing. So, balayage actually, of course, Paris was a big thing back. It was developed back in like the late 60s, early 70s. So it's
Mhm.
actually been around for a long time. We always said in our classes, like Audrey Hepburn was like the first one on the film to bring balayage to the main stage, and all of the things. And people are like, what? She had that big splay of blonde through the front of her hair, and then we'd always say, a lot of other people like Sarah Jessica Parker was like the next big actress to kind of bring it into the US in like the
Right.
90s and Sex and the City and all that kind of stuff. But kind of when I was starting my journey working for L'Oreal and a guy that I mentored under for many years, Steve here in Omaha, great, oh God, just the best time. I had such great training with him. He was an artist for L'Oreal Professional. And I was like, oh, you're so cool. I want to be you. And so he, bless his heart, took me under his wing and I kind of grew up with him on that and
Right.
was able to kind of make my way through the fields and everything. And that was kind of also when balayage was uh, really making its way into the education portion of our
Okay.
industry, right? But a big thing of it was too, I think why I was so drawn to it is because no one wanted to kind of take it on and learn it. It was a little bit trickier to learn how to do, right? I would say it's like Bob Ross because you'd have like a planchette and your brush, and it's just your free hand painting to mimic how like the sun would naturally lighten your hair. Um, and so of course me, I guess clearly I like a challenge or something. I don't know, and so I was able to be on the national balayage team for L'Oreal Professional for many, many years until I
Nice.
stepped back because my kids were at that age where I was like, okay, I'm missing like all of your
Mm.
sports in life, time to be mom. But it was, oh gosh, the people I met, I think being able to put yourself out there and do that, honestly, I really attribute that to a big part of the success of where I am, probably today, of meeting those people and those other great artists that are out
Mhm.
there and challenging yourself and pushing yourself and all of those things. But yeah, so balayage was fun. We would do a bunch of classes. People would fly in from all over the world to take them.
Nice.
I spent a lot of time in the New York Academy there and also in California. We had an academy in Denver for a while there too, which was awesome. So, I got a lot of great travel, and then I think the other big piece of it was if I wasn't in the academies, I got to spend my other portion of the time, which was just as great, was going around all over the United States and working within salons with salon owners and their teams, right?
Nice.
So I got to see just beautiful salons and what they were doing and how to bring a lot of that stuff even back to my salon here in
Right.
Omaha as well too, and for my team
Right.
and all that kind of stuff too. So it was wonderful. So balayage can be used in so many different ways. It can be soft and subtle. And I think there's a big misconception out there a little bit of like it's that rooted dip dye type look, but it really started off to be like childlike, soft, flowy blonde, but you can make it as bold as you want and you can make it as soft as you want,
Right.
So super fun. But yeah, that journey with L'Oreal was probably, it was some of the best, I don't know, maybe it was 15 years I think I did it
Wow.
for, something
Nice.
like that. So it
Nice.
was awesome. It was a
But
great journey.
that's cool too, going to different salons because like I would imagine, like I'm in New York, so like the East Coast, West Coast, we probably different weather, different atmosphere, everything would be different. So going around the whole US or even around the world and seeing what other, that probably inspires you to do different things too. We're saying, I didn't realize that the West Coast does a lot more of this. We can kind of incorporate, kind of like bring the East to the West to the East and create something new and different. And,
Yeah.
people are going around the world anyway. So that's
And you
actually pretty
do,
cool.
that's exactly right. You see it a lot. And I think that's where I would get stuck sometimes as maybe a salon owner, even in, the Midwest, because I'd spend so much time on the East and the West Coast doing it. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. This is so fun. But sometimes the Midwest was a little bit behind,
Yeah.
And so you're trying to bring it and have fun with it and do it. So, I mean, there was definitely some pros to that too, of
Right.
going and working and seeing what everyone's doing all over the place. And
Right.
just even their salon setup and stuff
Yeah.
like that too. So it was really fun. It was
Oh, I can
awesome.
imagine.
Yeah.
Nice. So tell us, what are some of the most rewarding aspects of mentoring and educating the next generation of beauty professionals?
Gosh, I love it all. I love it all. I, being in Omaha, I spend a lot of my time clearly in the Omaha campus here. And, I make my way out to the Grand Island one as well too, as much as I can throughout the month and in the salon. But I love the whole process from start to finish, right? So in the school here, typically how it would look is you get on our website, you would call, you'd set up an amazing tour, and then you come in and I try and meet as many of the tours as I possibly can, right? I love hearing their journey. It reminds me of my young little self, right? All the hopes and dreams, who we're going to aspire to be in all these things, meeting the parents and, talking to them and they're
Right.
excited, or if there's fears to calm, like
Right.
be able to walk them through that to their first day in class because they're always so nervous. It's so great, right? So then walking back into the classroom in 2 weeks and they're loud and you can't get anyone to be quiet because, well, we're hairdressers. We just
Yeah.
like to talk, right? And then I think I'm always here for the aha moments. I'm always here for the light bulb moments, right? Like I think my biggest goal and where I feel like if I can be accomplished is if I can at least have that with every student at some point in time, right? Whether it's in a business class. I love doing the business classes in the school. I think that's really fun. It's so rewarding. Or, how to work on their timing or a customer service type situation or something like that as well too. And I always think back, I'm like, we all, no matter who you talk to, you can probably all think about one educator at some point in your life that
Stands
like
out.
stood out to you and meant something, and I think that's so awesome. So hopefully we can do that, because I always say, my beauty school days were some of the best days that I had. I still have friends that I've met through there and in the journey, and you stay in touch with everyone. So hopefully, to be able to do that. And I think then the final thing of it is that I love, and it's been able to happen for me here in the last few years, is people coming back and wanting to be educators now, right? Because they know what that journey was like. Their educator stood out to them, or they want to come work here and be a part of our family and a part of our team because we're here, and it's been awesome. And seeing the elevation with the education that we're able to bring because of those amazing team members that are joining and everything like that. It's been great. So, we do a fun thing. We started doing like a Xenon spotlight that we're doing every month that we're posting on social media. And a big piece of it is we have so many graduates that have done such amazing things, from owning their own salon to being hairdressers for the rich and famous, and all those things. So to try and keep posting that, we just started that this last month. So we have a lot of great content coming out with that. But just to show, I think, to all the awesome things that you can do within the industry, because you don't have to be just behind the chair. So I think there's so many avenues that we can go in, and it's super fun. And yeah, I love it all. I love the start the nervousness from the start to the grand finale of look at me go. It's so great.
It's funny whenever people, start talking, my marketing brain just always starts going. As you're talking about the students, one thing people always love is competition. So even if you had like to help promote them, like everybody's trying to, they might try to be good, but if you make it a competition against fellow students, even if you just told them, gave them all the competition, whoever's going to, and make the audience, like a social media audience, who's going to vote. Now you're starting to build traction. That's just another idea to help promote them also. I think that's so cute.
For sure. And everyone loves a little friendly competition, right? It's in us.
But then they're showcasing what they're good at and letting the whole world see what they're good at. So even though it's a competition, it's more kind of promoting them also. But then it's also showcasing you because you taught them how to do all that. Nice.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. We'll get it rolling. You can be a judge.
I'll be a judge. I don't know. Obviously, I got a little work to do, but yeah.
That'll be quick.
So now tell us, what were the key challenges you faced while building both Xenon Academy and Stephanie Moss Salon, and how'd you overcome them?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I would have started, when I started my salon, I was young. I thought I could just do it all. So I was 25 years old when I started my first salon, right? Okay. One traded in for anything, and we've had bumps, and we've done this and that, and we've had to pivot and everything else like that. And when I get asked this question, I think the biggest thing is managing staff, right? Managing, and at a young age, I think that was probably the hardest thing for me for the salon. I had to learn a lot. I had to go seek out some education to grow myself in that situation. I could handle the hair, I could handle the technique, the business side of it. I had a great group of people around me on that, but to really understand how to manage your team so they shine was a big growth factor for me. And I think, just to be able to be supportive of them and understand that if you have a happy team, everything else falls into place, right? Performance is better. Our guest services are better because they're happy, And so to really be there for them and support them, where we can is great. We always, little happiness project, we do a lot of one-on-ones. So still to this day, I still meet with every single one of my team members every month. It's a check-in. It's always a positive, great meeting. And how can we help? What can we do? Where are you at? What do you need? In the months that I've not been able to do it, maybe I was on vacation or something like that, there was like, are you going to be here next time? And I think that's rewarding to me, that when your staff wants their owner, their boss to be in the building is a good thing. You know what I mean? Because I don't feel like you get that all the time. You don't hear that. So that's always been probably, I wouldn't say the biggest challenge, but maybe where I had to really learn to pivot and grow a lot more. Okay. You're always going to have your day-to-day business, your marketing, and you're always going to have your competition and growth and all those things. But I think the biggest thing is if you have a happy team at the end of the day, it all makes it so much easier. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
So, and for the school side of it, that was kind of a different animal. We came into an amazing company that had been here for over 30 years, and some of the staff had been here for 30 years as well. So, I mean, talk about the knowledge and the expertise that was in this building. And here comes Steph Moss, just like, hey.
Yeah.
And so one thing I think that was really important to my husband and I was we just wanted to really sit back and observe, right? And through this transition between both campuses and how many staff we really had no turnover on there. I think there was one staff that stepped away from the company, and I don't know if you always hear that a lot too. So I think that was a big learn. I mean, there was a lot of things that we had to learn, coming into, owning a beauty school and stuff like that, the challenges and working with all your agencies and all those kinds of things is always that. But again, just keeping the team happy. And honestly, it's been great. We are so fortunate between all of our businesses. We have such a great group of people in all of them. They rock it out every single day. And, I think that's the other thing that I tell people. I'm like, if you do it right, it's not work. I wake up and I'm so grateful every day to be able to come and do what I do every single day. So
I think it's awesome that you didn't come in and say, okay, I'm new in town now. This is how it's done. And that's it. That you respected that they had 30 years and you sat back and kind of blended the two. I'm not saying don't do it, you do it my way, or you kind of blended it. So I think people appreciate that. And I agree 1,000% about how making people feel included. And, because back in the day, it was like, especially in the corporate world, you're just a little peon on the totem pole. You do as you're told. I don't even know your name. Just get your job done, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of just go in, you're scared, you're there for the paycheck, but you have no passion for what you're doing. But once people started including, like, I'll never forget, we were at a board meeting one day, and normally they don't include everybody. It's just the head honchos. And one day we had a new management, and they were like, everybody come in. So we're kind of sitting in the back, like, okay. And then out of nowhere, they're like, and what do you think? And I'm like, me? And I'm like, oh my God, but at that point, I kind of like, you relax a little bit and you're like, wow, they actually want to hear what I have to say. And it made everybody feel like excited to go to work every day because you felt seen, you felt noticed. So I love that, just keep everybody involved, and they love to go to work, and the work will show.
It will. Agree. So I'm very grateful for it all.
Yeah, nice. Now, you're passionate about uplifting confidence in your students and clients. So how do you achieve this through your work?
Oh, so confidence is a big thing. And I think to be confident, you have to really feel confident in what you're saying and doing, right? So kind of goes back to our education conversations a little bit too, right? Or there's the good motto. If you ask any of my team members right now, they would say, Stephanie says, just fake it till you make it and it'll all come out like at some point in time, right? A couple models of Steph's life. But, and sometimes we do, we really work this out big time in the schools, and then even when we love to hire in my salon, we love to hire directly from the schools, put them through kind of what we call our little master's program, right? And this is where we really work with this confidence piece, but we will role play it out. And I always tell everyone, I said, especially these students, because it's nerve-wracking, right? Think about it. You're this 19, 20-year-old, for the most part, on average, going to beauty school. And now you have all these clients that they're strangers, right? Yeah. Sitting in your chair, and you have to make them feel really pretty and good about themselves. And I said, it's kind of like you're speed dating all day long, right? And I said, so you've got to be able to do that and have these conversations. And so we always coach it and give them a lot of scripts. We role play it out. I always say, borrow my voice until you find your own, right? Take my scripts until you start to build your own confidence into it. And then you'll feel more comfortable with doing it, right? But we've got to strengthen that tool belt up a little bit more to get there, and all those things. So we practice it a ton. We work on it a lot, and within time it starts to come. But that's when like the skill set rises up and kind of meets everything at the same point a little bit too. And I think that's when you get the best of both worlds with that for sure. Nice. So but it is. We're speed dating all day long. It's great.
It's not an easy thing, It's kind of like not like, you're a doctor and you're helping sick people. People come in for beauty for all different reasons, whether it's for a wedding or, maybe I have to have corporate pictures for my new job, or, or just it's, especially the guys, it's like, oh, it's my 6 week, just need to trim it, and you have all different personality types. Some people talk, some people don't, some people just like shut up and just, so you have to adjust your approach to tons of different personalities, different people, so I get that's a skill. I don't know if I have that skill, but that's definitely a
You have
skill.
to be a chameleon, and they do, it's, and they always joke the hairdresser is the therapist, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it is, one minute you have someone that's really happy and celebrating something, and the next client in your chair, unfortunately has like a sad loss or something like that. And you've got to be able to go back and forth and do it all. But I think that's also part of why, like, people that sign up for this and sign up for beauty school, they want to make people feel good about themselves. I always say, I'm like, our hair is our accessory. We can go change our shoes, we can buy a new purse or glasses or whatever, but
Right.
our hair is that accessory that stays on, right?
Right.
And I always, talk in my classes, I was like, tell me about when you've had a bad hair day, right? Is your whole day just a little bit, it's not as good, right?
Right.
And that's that confidence piece that we then give to our guests too.
Right.
So it's not just us behind the chair and the confidence. That's a huge thing, of course, that we can train in the schools and all that kind of stuff. But it's the confidence then that we're giving to our guests too, which is fun. It's always
Even
fun to see them when they walk in and they feel so good about themselves,
Yeah.
Take a little selfie afterwards,
Right.
tag the salon and have all the fun with that,
But even having a good memory, like nothing is, I know you cut hair for hundreds of people a week, and then if I come in and they're like, oh my God, haven't seen you in a while. How's the grandbaby? It's like, oh my God, like, because you have a connection with people after a while. And then it'd be like, now all of a sudden even though I might felt okay, but now I feel like, oh my God, like, so now I'm sharing a story, so it's a whole big package.
It is. It
Mm.
is. And we enjoy all of it. We're part of so many people's
Oh,
special
it's really
days, from weddings to everything. And
right.
we love it. We love it. It's so great.
Nice. So tell me, how do you stay ahead in the industry that's constantly evolving, and what role does creativity play in your success?
Oh gosh, right? All of it. You've got to be creative. Someone down the street's doing it too,
Yeah.
in the marketing world, you've got to stay with it. So I think a part of that is, yes, marketing and researching and what's going on there. And always be looking for what the next trend is going to be, how you can bring it in and feature it. And again, it's going back to your classes and your education and signing up for all of this stuff to be able to do that. And I invest in yourself, and that's a big thing people talk about. Like, you need to spend 10% a year or whatever, for your education. And it's no joke, you need to. So watching what's coming down, like we talked about, kind of the runways and stuff like that too. And you see now all like these head spas and everything that's out. And our industry is always going to be changing. There's always going to be new stuff, which I also think makes it fun.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to
Not the
get
same old
bored.
stuff. Yeah.
And we always, hairdressers, sometimes we're like, squirrel, attention, we want to go do something else new and fun. So for us, that works out perfect, that we can constantly be changing it. And one thing I always tell my staff at the salon, and even our students too, I said, you guys have to be on top of just changing it subtly for your guests. Now, some guests, they don't want like a big drastic change all the time. But some people do. They want to do that. And I just said, you can't limit yourself where you're afraid to do that. I said, because if you're not giving your guests the change, someone else will, right? And that's where our guest is going to get bored a little bit too. And maybe they're going to go find someone else. Or, I think hair extensions a big one for this. Like, not everyone wants to learn how to do hair extensions. And I was like, but they're going to find someone that's going to do it for them. So really being able to put yourself out there too, and not be afraid to go learn the new techniques and all those things. So that way you can offer all the great services and keep it in your chair and have fun with it and give your guests the best experience that you possibly can. Because I always say that, like, we're not selling haircuts, people, we're selling experiences.
For
right?
sure, though,
The haircut's just a part of it. It's all about it. It's about how we're greeting them. It's about how they're coming through and the salon and all the things. So it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, creating experience for sure. I mean, how many people have walked out feeling phenomenal and everybody stops and, oh my God, you get your hair done. I love it. Now you've just changed their entire mood for the whole day. And yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So now
Agreed.
what principles from the beauty industry do you think can be applied to entrepreneurs and professionals in other fields?
A lot, right? I, I mean, a couple that stand out to me is kind of the experience. It's customer service, right? So I think everyone wants they want to be treated a certain way
Right.
anymore, right? They want the funness, they want the environment, they want that extraordinary guest experience that's going to come out of there. You know, communication is going to be a big thing as well too. Um, you know, and I think a big thing, continuing education and constantly that we can do. And I think it's interesting at the school, there's a few other industries that between the beauty industry, your medical, like your nursing, and then like real estate is another big one too. So it's fun to watch at the school where yes, we have a lot of the like the traditional student that'll come in. You're right out of high school, you know what I mean? They're going to come in, they know what they want to do, they want to be a hairdresser or a barber or whatever it might be. And then I love meeting with kind of what we call like more non-traditional, right? Maybe it's a second career type you know, person coming through. And 9 times out of 10, they either were a nurse, they were in real estate of some sort. But the biggest thing at the end of the day is they want to take care of people, right? You know, so I think that those are a lot of similarities between a lot of those industries that we kind of see them go back and forth as well,
Oh,
too.
that's
You know,
awesome. Yeah.
for the entrepreneurship, I think you see a lot of kind of we call booth rental type situations. I don't know if they have a lot of that, you know, where you guys are and stuff, but it's a big thing too. But being able to learn that business and put yourself out there, be willing to take that risk because it's scary, you know, to be able to go do that. And a lot of these people are young that are starting that, you know, to be able to go do that. So I think those are a couple of big things. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're very much the industry of we just want to take care of people.
Mhm.
We want to make people feel good about themselves, you know. So that's where we would have a lot of similarities with any of those other industries.
That's awesome. And yeah, customer service is a big thing. But it is you know, what did they say? Like the fashion industry, people always wear clothes, you know, the food industry, people always eat. But nowadays in this chaotic world we live in, everybody just wants to feel good. And you know, that is the surefire way to do it because yeah, so it is, it's uplifting people in one way or another. So
Agreed.
now, what would you tell someone looking to turn their passion for beauty into successful business or educational venture?
Ah, just do it, right? It's fun when we give tours and stuff at the school. We always go into some of the classrooms and maybe someone who's on the fence of should I sign up for beauty school? Do I take the plunge? Do I do it? You know, a lot of times we'll have students that, oh gosh, I don't know if it's right for me. And then they'll go on and maybe do some you know, general credits or something like that at a college, and then they'll circle back and I just need to do it. And
Mhm.
I always giggle because we'll always walk them into a classroom that, you know, has an instructor in there and classes in session. And we're always like, okay, what advice would you give, you know, or does this prospective student want to know? And everyone always says, just don't wait, just do it. You're gonna love it. And I think sometimes we can doubt ourselves, like, is this right? Is this going to be good for me? You know, from the entrepreneurial side of things, you know, you just same different. You just got to
Yeah.
do it. If it's in your heart, if you're thinking about it and it's what you really want to do, get the right people, have the right people in your corner, you know, and build that support team around yourself because it's rewarding, you know, with everything that I've been able to do and accomplish. I wouldn't trade it in for anything.
Mhm.
It's been such a rewarding journey, you know, and now, you know, Ryan and I always joke, you know, he's my Uber. My husband gets to drive me to work every day. We share an office. We do all of the things, whether he likes it or not, you know, but it's been such a great journey for us and for
Nice.
our family too. So it hasn't let us down, but I think just be brave, go do it, get the right people lined up and just push yourself to do it and enjoy the ride.
That's why having yourself like a mentor, someone, you know, who can basically give the pros and cons. You know, I've done it myself. You know, here's how I get where you're coming from. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my advice and you could see for yourself the success, you know, and being around other people that really, you know, because you're always going to have those naysayers who, no, no, you got to get an education, you got to get a degree, you know, but if that's not your passion, you know, at the end of the day, you know, they always say, what's your legacy, blah, blah, blah. Well, I worked until the day I died and I provided for my family. Was I happy? Not at all. You know, you have to do something, follow
Right?
your heart.
You do. You
Yeah,
do. You've got to enjoy it. And I think that's where we get a lot of those students who are like, I went and did this, and this was always where I wanted to
sounds
be.
great.
And they just flourish. They do so great when they're here. And it's rewarding to see and exciting for them.
Nice. Now, anything else you want to talk about? We didn't cover anything new going on and all that good stuff.
Gosh, I mean, I think we did a lot of it. I feel good about it. No, I mean, yeah, everything's just, it's been great. It's been great.
Nice.
And I appreciate you having me on here
Oh,
today and
pleasure.
being able to talk about the school and the salon world and just the beauty industry in general.
Now, how could people, one, get a hold of you, learn more about you? But if people were interested in taking class, I'm assuming it's in person, right? You're not doing virtual or anything, right?
Yep, it is all in person. So best thing for the school side of it would be just to go to our website, just xenonacademy.net. And then my email is just Stephanie, STEPHANIE at xenonacademy.net. And then, of course, social media, just Stephanie Moss, you can find me and connect, or Xenon Academy. All of those wonderful ways would be great, and reach out. And yes, if anyone ever has any questions or wants to know more, if anyone's interested in maybe being a student, another thing that we do offer a lot here, and you can reach out to our admissions department on our website, is come in for a tour and then come in and we'll set you up. You can shadow, come hang out in the classroom setting for a little bit, hang out on our clinic floor, work with an existing student for a little while as well too. We do that a ton, and it's a great way to kind of come in and feel comfortable, meet the instructors, and see what it's all about. So
That's awesome.
always an option.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Stephanie Moss. So thanks for listening to Real Conversations with Patricia. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the channel. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Real Conversations with Patricia, talking with some of the most brilliant minds on their journey to success and their recommended strategies. Please leave your feedback and visit pristineadvisors.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Feel free to let me know your thoughts, suggestions, and anything else you'd like me to cover. Together, we can make success happen for all.